In today's farm report, the forecasted pig numbers for 2015 will be higher. Cindy Zimmerman with AgriPulse has more.
The final U.S. hogs and pigs inventory for 2014 shows an increase of 2% over last year at 66.1 million head, according to USDA livestock analyst Shale Shagam.
Producers retained just under 6 million head of breeding hogs, which was 4% above a year ago. In September-November, producers farrowed just under 2.9 million sows, which was about 3% above a year ago. And the litter rate for September-November was 10.23 pigs per litter, which was a record for the quarter. It's third highest on record, up about 1% from a year ago.
That uptick in pigs per litter is an encouraging sign that the impact of the PED virus may be slowing down. But Shagam says that remains to be seen.
It's very difficult to say because we're going into the winter months now, and the PED virus is one that tends to like cold weather. So we're going to have to wait until March to really see what the effects may have been on the litter rate.
Dr. Lisa Beckton with the National Pork Board says although the number of cases of PED virus grew in 2014, it has been quieter than 2013 when the disease was first discovered.
So we know it's still active. We know we're seeing some cases. This summer was very calm, and we didn't have a lot of infection. However, going into the winter, we're not 100% certain what's going to happen, so it's something that we're very concerned with. Because this is such a devastating disease for producers, we really want to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening this winter.
Moving into the new year, Shagam says producers appear to be optimistic that the winter won't be so bad.
Looking to 2015, for December 2014 through February 2015, producers expect to farrow 2.87 million sows, which is about 4% higher than a year ago. And looking forward to March-May of 2015, producers intend to farrow 2.9 million head, which is about 3% above a year ago.
Reporting for AgriPulse, I'm Cindy Zimmerman.
What will commodity prices look like in 2015? Farm incomes, the overall farm financial situation.
We're looking at something that looks very, very similar to this year.
Outgoing Agriculture Department Chief Economist Joe Glauber, he says, put up a mirror to 2014 and you get crop prices at a lower level than 2013, livestock prices higher, and overall incomes that are down. But Glauber says,
I still would contend that we're in better shape than a lot of people might think, given how low the crop prices have fallen.
But he says the 2015 income situation is going to be very hard to predict because we don't know what new farm safety net programs farmers are going to go with and how those are going to pay off.
That's going to be a potential impact in farm income because those payments for those programs won't come in until October. So if you're signed up for price loss coverage and your season average price falls below the target price, then there will be additional incomes there.
USDA will have some fresh income projections at its Outlook Forum coming up in February. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Ethanol had its ups and downs in 2014. Cindy Zimmerman with AgriPulse has more.
2014 was a record year in many ways for U.S. ethanol producers, according to Renewable Fuels Association President Bob Dineen.
We produced more ethanol than we ever had. We marketed, sold more ethanol domestically than we ever have. Margins were good. The market has been healthy. We exported almost a record amount of ethanol this year and embarked on an aggressive export market development program that I think is going to yield significant benefits in the future. And 2014 was the first year in which you saw meaningful commercial production of cellulosic ethanol, realizing the goal of the RFS to evolve this industry to new technologies and new feedstocks.
However, Dineen notes that the hits to the renewable fuel standard just kept coming.
The oil companies have waged an unprecedented campaign against renewable fuels generally, and the RFS specifically. They've spent tens of millions of dollars on ad campaigns and political efforts to undermine this important program. The EPA failed to promulgate a renewable volume obligation number implementing the RFS for 2014, sort of put the program on pause for the year and created a great deal of uncertainty. It's made it difficult to expand the tremendous progress that we have made in cellulosic ethanol because investors are sitting on the sidelines. So you sort of have two very different years. Outside the Beltway, outside Washington, D.C., great year. Let's celebrate it. Inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C., at EPA and on the Hill, a much more challenging year.
Deneen says there was also slow but steady progress in 2014, increasing consumer choice at the pump, with more retailers offering 15% ethanol blended fuel.
Well, the growth in E15 is continuing. The industry this year came together and embarked on a program to subsidize E15 infrastructure, and I think will be successful in significantly expanding consumer choice and E15 opportunities in the future. You've also seen tremendous progress on warranty coverage for E15. 70% of the new cars being produced in this country now fully warranty E15 use.
Reporting for AgriPulse, I'm Cindy Zimmerman.
Like the song says,
Baby, it's cold outside.
For the first time in a month, we're dealing with extreme cold.
Agriculture Department meteorologist Brad Rippey. Up north, temperatures well below zero with winds making it worse,
Leading to an increase in livestock stress.
But winter wheat producers don't have to stress over this cold wave.
We had 2 snowstorms in advance of this Arctic outbreak. Virtually all of the wheat across the northwestern half of the plains has some insulation, and that cover is virtually continuous from Montana to the central high plains, providing that much-needed insulation as well as moisture for the winter wheat crop. So at this point, the news is good that we seem to have escaped any threat of winter kill.
And the cold also will not be severe enough to do any damage to fruits and vegetables along the Gulf Coast. However, citrus producers in California's San Joaquin Valley New Year's Day are going to see temperatures of the 20s. They will be busy taking measures to keep fruit from freezing, and the cold could last several days. In Washington, Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
A quick note that the Morrison County ADA annual meeting that was scheduled for Wednesday, January 7th, was rescheduled to Thursday, January 8th at 11:30 a.m. at the Falls Ballroom in Little Falls. Winter is a great time for producers of any discipline to attend educational workshops like ones put on by the University of Minnesota Extension Service Office. Dan Martins with the University of Minnesota Extension shares 3 that will be going on at the Rivers Edge Convention Center in St. Cloud.
3 educational events are coming soon to Rivers Edge Convention Center in St. Cloud during January. These include a one-day Minnesota Department of Ag winter workshop with 6 topics to choose from on January 8th, followed by the Minnesota Organic Producers Conference on January 9 and 10, and then the Upper Midwest Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference on January 14, 15, and 16. The Minnesota Department of Ag Winter Workshop on January 8th offers a choice of 2 all-day topics where the registration fee is $50. One of the all-day topics is the nuts and bolts of running a CSA, or a community-supported agriculture enterprise. The CSA is where people in the community subscribe to receive produce from the farm through the growing season, or in some cases through the year. People might contribute labor on the farm as a part of the subscription. The second all-day workshop is transitioning to organic. The 4 half-day topics have a $25 registration fee and include grazing basics, in reality checking your farm plan in the morning, and then in the afternoon, fine-tuning your grazing system and saving your own seed. Workshop details and online registration are available at Minnesota Department of Ag website, or call MDA at 651-201-6012, or give us a call at the Extension office for that information. The Minnesota Organic Conference will also be held this week on January 9 and 10. Participants can choose from a wide range of topics held in 3 sessions on each of the 2 days. These sessions cover production practices for field and horticultural crops and livestock, processing, public policy, personal and financial management, and more. A trade show is open throughout the event. For more information and registration details, call Minnesota Department of Agriculture at 651-201-6012 or check the website by looking for Minnesota Department of Agriculture Organic Conference. The The 2014 Farm Bill crop program meetings that will be held this week include sites in Aitkin at the American Legion, Wednesday, January 7th, 9:30 in the morning to noon. Alexandria at the Holiday Inn, also January 7th in the afternoon, 1:30 to 4. And Cambridge at American Jane's on Thursday, January 8th, 12:30 to 3 p.m. Sites next week in our area include Litchfield at the Eagles Club, January 14th, 1 to 3:30. Little Falls at Falls Ballroom, January 15th, 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. Foley at Henry's Catering, January 15th, 1:30 to 4 in the afternoon. The full schedule of Farm Bill workshops and education materials can be found by doing a website search for Minnesota Extension Farm Bill Education. Presentations, handouts from meetings, fact sheets, and worksheets are available now at this website. And again, you're welcome to call the County Extension or County FSA office for details about these meetings. I'm Dan Martins with U of M Extension, and I hope you're taking care of your health and safety in the cold winter weather.
The Food and Drug Administration does not require makers of foods containing genetically modified ingredients or GMOs to be labeled as such. That's the policy.
But we have been asked to change it.
FDA's Food Safety Director Michael Landa, several groups have petitioned FDA to make it mandatory to disclose on the label if there are GMO ingredients in the food product because some consumers, for whatever reason, would rather not buy those GMO-derived products and feel they have a right to know.
The question then becomes, what is it that people do not have a right to know on the food label? And I'm not sure how one answers that question.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says you'd have to label it so that it does not put a negative spin on the product since there's no evidence of any safety problem with GMO foods. And so
we are working with the Food and Drug Administration to sort of focus on new strategies and new ways to provide consumers appropriate information without basically sending a message that foods that are made with GMOs are in any way, shape, or form unsafe, because they're not.
But some companies do label their foods as not containing GMO ingredients. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.